The Interstellar Council's chamber was enormous, stretching farther than any human could have imagined. Its walls shimmered with a strange, iridescent glow, as if the light itself had been captured from a nebula. Hundreds of delegates from dozens of species filled the room, each one sitting behind a sleek console that displayed the history and achievements of their people. Some had wings that glimmered in the chamber light, others had skin like polished stone, and a few floated above their chairs, their presence bending the very air around them. Human Ambassador Alara Quinn sat at her station, her eyes scanning the vast room. Despite the colors, shapes, and sounds around her, she felt the same cold knot in her stomach she had felt for months. The council had called this meeting to negotiate peace, to prevent further bloodshed, but Alara knew that humanity's patience had worn thin. The loss of human colonies in the past year had been more than just tragic, it was a turning point. The alien delegate from the planet Vorix, a tall creature with multiple eyes and a voice like grinding stone, spoke first. "We appeal to humanity to reconsider," it said. "War benefits none of us. Peace can protect your colonies and preserve life." Alara watched as other delegates nodded in agreement, but she did not respond immediately. She remembered the fires on the colony of Arcturus 9, the screams over communication channels before the transmissions went dark, and the countless lives lost. Humanity had tried diplomacy before. Each time they had extended a hand, only to have it crushed by the ambitions of others. Finally, she stood. The humans were taller than most species in the room, but it was her presence, the steady determination in her posture, that drew the attention of everyone. "We have listened," she said calmly, her voice carrying through the chamber. "We have waited. We have trusted that words could be stronger than weapons." There was a pause. A strange silence spread across the council. Even the Vorix, who were known for their impatience, seemed to wait, unsure of what she would say next. Alara's hands rested on the console in front of her. "But humanity is finished negotiating. We are finished asking for mercy. We will no longer allow the destruction of our colonies, the slaughter of our people, or the betrayal of our trust." Murmurs rose among the delegates. Some whispered to each other in alien languages, while others simply stared. The council had never seen a human speak with such unwavering resolve. From the back of the chamber, a delegate from the planet Kelara, whose body was covered in silvery fur, stood and shouted, "You cannot threaten the council. This is a diplomatic gathering." Alara shook her head slowly. "This is not a threat," she replied. "This is a declaration of truth. Humanity will defend itself, and if diplomacy fails, we will act." The words hung in the air like a spark over dry kindling. The council had heard many threats over the centuries, but there was something different about humans. Other species were often driven by fear, greed, or survival instinct. Humans were driven by experience, by a history of struggle that had forged them into one of the most adaptable species in the galaxy. They had endured famine, war, and disaster. Each time, they had risen stronger. A small delegate with translucent wings from the planet Selith fluttered closer to their console. "Do you really believe that humanity can match the combined forces of the council?" it asked, voice trembling with both curiosity and fear. Alara's eyes met the Selith delegate's. "We do not need to match you," she said simply. "We only need to survive, and we have learned that survival requires action, not endless discussion." The chamber erupted into debate. Delegates shouted over each other, their voices a mixture of anger, disbelief, and pleading. Some argued that humans were reckless, that they were endangering all peace in the galaxy. Others whispered that perhaps it was time to respect the humans' resolve. Alara remained standing, her hands gripping the console, her gaze steady. She had prepared for this. She knew the council would try to persuade, to manipulate, to threaten. She also knew that no words could undo the pain humanity had suffered. Her communicator beeped softly, a message from Earth. It was a single line: "Proceed as planned." Humanity is ready. That message reinforced what she already knew. Humans had built something no other species had, the ability to endure any trial and emerge stronger. Every human soldier, every scientist, every colonist had contributed to a spirit of determination that no alien species could ignore. Alara spoke again, louder this time, and the chamber fell silent once more. Let me make one thing clear. Humanity does not seek war for glory or conquest. We seek survival. We seek respect. We seek acknowledgement that we are not to be underestimated. Across the room, some delegates looked shocked. Others whispered urgently to one another. The leaders of larger species leaned forward, calculating the cost of underestimating humans. For the first time, the room seemed to quiet as they realized a truth they had ignored. Humans were unpredictable. They could not be bargained with in the ways other species understood. They had faced extinction on Earth, on Mars, on colonies scattered across the stars, and they had not only survived, they had adapted. The Council's president, a tall, serpentine figure from the planet Jarin, raised a hand to regain order. Ambassador Quinn, it said, voice as smooth as oil, your words are unusual, but surely there must be a path that avoids violence. Alara nodded slowly. We would have taken that path if there had been any hope it would protect our people, but that hope is gone. We have been patient, we have listened. Humanity is finished negotiating. A murmur of shock ran through the chamber. Some delegates were pale with fear. Others seemed to consider the weight of her words carefully. Then in a quiet but firm voice, Alara added, we will act to defend ourselves. If you value peace, then recognize us. Recognize that humanity cannot be ignored. Recognize that survival is not a choice, it is a right. For a moment, silence reigned. Then slowly, the delegates began to process what had been said. It was not just a declaration, it was a warning. And humans were not known for empty threats. Outside the council chambers, the stars shone bright, indifferent to the arguments below. But humanity's fleets were already moving. Ships that had been in construction for years were now activating, engines humming with power. The humans did not celebrate or boast. They prepared, silently and efficiently as they always did. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier was a promise. Humanity would not bow again. Alara watched the preparations from her communicator, her jaw tight. She had seen war before, but this time it was different. This time, humanity was not fighting for survival alone. They were fighting to remind the galaxy that humans were resilient, clever, and unstoppable when pushed to the edge. Back in the council chamber, the alien delegates resumed their discussions, but there was a new tension in the air. For the first time, they understood that humans were not just another species to negotiate with. They were a force shaped by adversity, one that had learned how to turn loss into strength. And so, the first part of humanity's new chapter began. The Council could plead for diplomacy, for understanding, for compromise, but humans had reached the point where words were no longer enough. They had been patient, and patience had failed. Now, humanity was ready to act. The stars waited silently, but humanity's time had come. The silence of space was deceptive. From a distance, the galaxy seemed calm, stars twinkling in patterns older than any civilization. But beneath the surface, tension had reached its breaking point. Humanity, once patient and cautious, had made its decision. Survival could no longer wait for endless debate. Across human command centers scattered throughout the solar system, fleets were activating. The hum of engines filled the air as massive ships powered up, their metallic hulls gleaming in artificial lights. Pilots, engineers, and soldiers moved with precise coordination, a rhythm honed by years of preparation. Every human on every ship knew their role, and they embraced it without hesitation. Admiral Kale Rin, stationed aboard the flagship Resolute, watched the holographic map that floated above the command console. Systems lit up like stars on a dark canvas, showing the locations of human colonies, council-aligned worlds, and areas recently threatened by hostile factions. Kale's eyes were steady, though his mind ran faster than any display could track. "Status report," he said, his voice calm but commanding. Lieutenant Mara Silva, standing beside him, responded quickly. "Fleet is ready, Admiral. All ships online, weapons systems calibrated, and defensive protocols active. The enemy fleets are scattered and their communications show confusion. They do not expect this speed." Kale nodded. "Good, begin the first wave. We take back Arcturus 9. The name sent a shiver through the bridge. Arcturus 9 had been a human colony for decades, a world of thriving cities and rich resources. The loss of the colony had been a wound to humanity, but now it would become a testament to human resolve. Outside the ship, stars streaked by as the fleet accelerated into hyperspace. Even with technology capable of bending light and space, the sense of purpose was almost tangible. Humans were not attacking for revenge. They were attacking to reclaim what had been theirs and to send a message. Humanity would no longer be ignored. When the fleet emerged from hyperspace, the Arcturus 9 system came into view. Alien warships patrolled the orbit, their shapes and sizes intimidating, their weapons bristling with destructive power. But humans were ready. "Targeting systems online," Mara said. "Weapons locked on all hostile ships. Engaging in 3, 2, 1. The first salvo struck with precision. Energy beams cut through the vacuum, hitting alien ships before they could respond effectively. Shields flickered and failed, some vessels spinning out of control. Human pilots executed maneuvers no alien tactician had predicted, using the planet's moons as cover and coordinating attacks across multiple fronts simultaneously. Kale watched, impressed and resolute. Humanity had developed tactics that combined instinct, creativity, and technology in ways the Council could not anticipate. Their ships were not just weapons. They were extensions of human ingenuity, flexible and unpredictable. On the ground, soldiers had already begun landing in the colony. Robotic transports descended, carrying humans ready to reclaim their homes. Streets that had been abandoned were now filled with movement as humans secured key installations, restored power grids, and evacuated trapped civilians. Colonel Rhea Voss led one of the ground teams. Her squad moved through the city with silent precision. They were met with resistance, but they adapted quickly, turning alien traps into opportunities. Each building, each street, each corner was analyzed and used strategically. They were humans, survivors shaped by centuries of overcoming disaster. Adaptation was instinct. Meanwhile, back in the Resolute, Kale monitored the larger battle. "We've broken their first line," he reported. "They're retreating to the outer system. We follow," Mara nodded. "They'll try to regroup, but we can't let them escape. This is the moment to prove we are not to be underestimated." The human fleet moved with unmatched coordination. Ships that were slower took positions to intercept reinforcements, while faster strike vessels pursued retreating enemies. Every maneuver was calculated, but Kale encouraged his pilots to trust instinct and creativity, knowing that human unpredictability was their greatest weapon. At the same time, human scientists and engineers aboard the fleet were preparing experimental technology. Energy shields that could redirect enemy fire, engines that could operate at higher speeds than previously thought possible, and communication systems that allowed near-instant coordination across vast distances. Humans were turning knowledge into power, strategy into survival. The aliens had never faced a species like this. Many assumed that humans would be cautious, predictable, or negotiable. They were wrong. Humans fought with clarity of purpose, combining heart, mind, and technology. The Council watched from afar, unable to intervene directly but monitoring each development with growing alarm. They had underestimated humanity's ability to respond, to recover, and to strike with precision. Messages of surprise, confusion, and even fear began to filter through their channels. In the Arcturus 9 skies, explosions lit the atmosphere, but humans pressed forward. Ground forces captured strategic points, securing communication towers, energy grids, and defense stations. Civilians were guided to safe zones, protected by human soldiers who moved with quiet determination. The alien forces, confused by human tactics and overwhelmed by their tenacity, began to surrender in pockets. Colonel Voss paused on a rooftop overlooking the city. She watched as human and alien forces clashed, as carefully planned strikes shattered resistance. And yet, she noticed something remarkable. Human soldiers were not driven by hatred or anger. They fought with discipline, with the desire to protect their own, and with a will to survive. That was humanity's strength. Meanwhile, Kale received a message from Earth. The voice of the president was calm but firm. "You have our full support. Humanity stands together. Take what is ours and show the galaxy what it means to push humans to the edge." Kale clenched his jaw. This was more than a battle, it was a demonstration. Every move, every victory, every act of strategy sent a message that humanity would not bow. As the human fleet pursued the retreating alien forces, other colonies under threat joined in. Ships that had once been cornered now moved with confidence, coordinating attacks that disrupted alien supply lines and communications. Human fleets became a force unlike any the galaxy had seen, precise, coordinated, adaptive, and unrelenting. In one sector, a squadron of human pilots performed daring maneuvers around a black hole, using its gravity to slingshot themselves into the enemy fleet. Alien ships, caught by surprise, were destroyed before they could react. Humans had turned knowledge and courage into victory, exploiting opportunities others would never see. Meanwhile, on a distant moon, scientists completed a prototype weapon, a beam that could neutralize enemy shields without harming the environment. The first test was successful. This was not destruction for the sake of destruction. It was strategy, efficiency, and ingenuity. By the end of the first wave, humans had reclaimed Arcturus 9, liberated trapped civilians, and inflicted significant losses on enemy forces. Ships that had once threatened humanity were now disabled or retreating. Ground teams restored power and communication networks, signaling to the galaxy that humanity had returned. Admiral Kale surveyed the results. "This is only the beginning," he said. "We fight not to conquer but to survive. But the message is clear. Humanity cannot be ignored. Every species, every council member, every colony must understand that." Colonel Voss nodded, standing amidst the restored city. "We have shown them what humans can do when pushed, but we fight not for revenge. We fight to protect our people, our homes, our future." Kale smiled faintly. "Exactly. This is humanity's strength. We endure, we adapt, and we rise. And when we rise, the galaxy listens." As night fell over Arcturus 9, the stars shone brightly. From the surface of the planet to the far reaches of space, humanity's presence was undeniable. Ships patrolled the skies, soldiers secured the cities, and engineers repaired what had been damaged. Humanity had acted swiftly, decisively, and intelligently. And yet, this was only the beginning. The Council and alien factions could no longer assume that humans would remain patient. The galaxy had witnessed a species willing to fight with courage, strategy, and unity. The lessons were clear. Humanity would protect its own, adapt to any challenge, and never back down. In the quiet moments, Admiral Kale and Colonel Voss stood together on a viewing platform looking at the stars. "They will try to regroup," Kale said. "They will," Voss replied. "But they will never forget what happened here today, and neither will we." The first victory was complete, but humanity's journey had just begun. Across the galaxy, intelligence reports indicated that other colonies were still in danger, and that alien fleets were moving to counter the human advance. But humans were ready. They had proven that strategy, courage, and determination could overcome even the most powerful threats. The galaxy had underestimated them once. Humanity would not allow that to happen again. And as humans prepared for the next wave, one truth became clear. When survival, ingenuity, and unity combined, no force in the galaxy could ignore them. The galaxy was changing. In the weeks since the Battle of Arcturus 9, humans had demonstrated what the Council and alien factions had long underestimated: a species shaped by endurance, intelligence, and unyielding resolve. Messages that once carried diplomacy now carried respect, and in some cases, fear. Admiral Kale Rin stood on the bridge of the flagship Resolute, observing a map of human-controlled space. Dots and lines lit up, showing colonies safely reclaimed, trade routes reopened, and alien fleets forced to rethink their strategies. Yet Kale knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy would not accept humanity's new position without testing it. "Commander Silva," Kale said, motioning to his second-in-command, "we need a plan for the council meeting. They will come to us soon, officially this time." Mara Silva nodded. "We've prepared proposals. We will not negotiate from fear, only from strength. And we make it clear, humanity will act if ignored." Kale's gaze hardened. "Good. The galaxy must understand that we are not simply survivors. We are leaders, innovators, and protectors of our people. Anything less is unacceptable." Meanwhile, across human territories, colonies were thriving. Engineers repaired infrastructure at record speed. Soldiers trained civilians to protect themselves, and scientists shared new technologies that improved daily life. Human colonies were becoming self-sufficient, resilient, and united in a way the Council had never seen. On the alien side, there was confusion. Many species had expected humans to bow under pressure, to negotiate endlessly, or to retreat when faced with overwhelming odds. But humans had acted decisively. They had reclaimed lost worlds, adapted their strategies, and demonstrated that their will was unbreakable. Alien leaders whispered among themselves, debating whether to challenge humans further or seek an alliance under new terms. The Council summoned the human delegation to a neutral system, a planet called Luminara, known for its floating crystal cities and serene beauty. Ambassador Ilara Quinn, now accompanied by Admiral Kale and Colonel Rhea Voss, prepared to enter the Grand Chamber. This time there would be no pleading, no empty diplomacy. Humans had a voice, and they intended to use it. The chamber of Luminara was breathtaking. Crystals floated in midair, reflecting sunlight in rainbow colors. The delegates from dozens of worlds sat poised, their expressions tense. The council's president, a serpentine figure from Jarin, greeted Ilara with a cold smile. "Ambassador Quinn," it said, voice smooth, "we have observed your recent actions. The galaxy watches with interest and concern. Perhaps we underestimated humanity." Ilara stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "You did, and now the galaxy must understand that humanity cannot be ignored. We do not seek conquest, but we will defend our people, our colonies, and our future. Diplomacy is only effective when respect exists. Respect cannot be demanded, it must be earned." The delegates murmured among themselves. Some were skeptical, others cautious. A few, particularly those whose species had lost colonies or fleets to human actions, looked uneasy. Kale stood beside Ilara, projecting calm authority. "Humanity has acted and will continue to act with discipline and strategy. Every decision we make is measured, every action deliberate. We do not fight recklessly, but when provoked, we respond with clarity and strength. This is not a threat, this is fact." The council president leaned forward, narrowing its eyes. "Do you propose a new framework for the galaxy? A new order?" Ilara nodded. "Yes. A framework built on fairness, mutual respect, and recognition of each species' capabilities. Humans will participate, lead when necessary, and defend when required." We will protect life and maintain order, but we will no longer be dismissed, ignored, or underestimated. For the first time, silence reigned in the chamber. Delegates processed the words, realizing that humanity had transformed from a species others could negotiate with to a species others had to respect. Humans were not merely survivors, they were shapers of the galaxy's future. Outside the chamber, news from the front lines continued to arrive. Human forces had secured several additional colonies, prevented conflicts before they could escalate, and assisted in rebuilding alien worlds where chaos had taken hold. Every action was strategic, every victory measured, every effort sending a clear message. Humans could defend themselves and could be a stabilizing force. On one recovered colony, Ria Voss oversaw the final stages of restoration. Civilians, once terrified, now walked freely through streets repaired by human engineers. Children played under the watch of trained guardians, and trade resumed with neighboring systems. Voss felt a rare sense of pride. Humanity's strength was not just in their ships or weapons. It was in their ability to inspire hope and restore life where destruction had reigned. In orbit above the colony, Admiral Kale received urgent transmissions. Alien factions who had resisted humans now sought assistance, requesting trade agreements and security assurances. Humans were cautious but open, understanding that alliances built on respect were far stronger than those forced by fear. Back at Luminara, Alara concluded her address to the Council. The galaxy has changed. Humanity has demonstrated its capacity to endure, adapt, and lead. We ask only for acknowledgement and cooperation. Those who attempt to challenge us will learn the consequences of underestimating humans. Those who work with us will find allies loyal, intelligent, and capable. The Council President remained silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, it spoke. Humanity has proven effective. Perhaps it is time to reconsider our assumptions. We will observe your actions and we will respect your voice. Other delegates echoed the sentiment, some cautiously, some with genuine admiration. Humanity's approach had forced the galaxy to recognize a new reality. Humans were no longer just participants. They were leaders, defenders, and innovators. After the meeting, Kale and Voss walked through the crystal corridors of Luminara. "Do you think they truly understand?" Voss asked. Kale smiled faintly. "They understand that humans are not to be underestimated. That's enough. They'll learn the rest in time." Alara joined them, her eyes focused on the horizon. "We have changed the rules," she said. "Not through force alone, but through courage, intelligence, and determination. The galaxy cannot ignore us any longer, and that is the future we will protect." Even as they spoke, human fleets patrolled the edges of known space. Colonies thrived, trade routes opened, and once hostile factions now approached with caution. Humanity had not just survived, they had established a new order, one built on strength, respect, and unity. In quiet moments, Kale reflected on humanity's journey. From a small, fragile species on a blue planet, humans had risen to confront threats across the stars. They had combined intellect with adaptability, courage with compassion. Their victories were not just military, they were cultural, technological, and moral. The galaxy would remember humanity not for reckless ambition, but for its ability to endure, to act wisely, and to inspire others. Colonel Voss observed the stars from the colony surface. "It's strange," she said quietly. "We fought, we reclaimed, we rebuilt, and yet it feels like this is just the beginning." Kale nodded. "It is. The galaxy is vast, full of challenges and unknowns, but humanity has proven one thing: wherever we go, whatever we face, we survive, adapt, and rise. That is our greatest strength. That is what will shape the future." Alara stood beside them, looking at the horizon. "The Council has accepted our voice, but the work is not finished. We must continue to lead, to protect, and to build. We do not dominate, we guide. We do not destroy, we defend. And we do not falter. Humanity's place in the stars is secured, not through fear, but through courage, intelligence, and unity. Across the galaxy, messages from other civilizations confirmed what humans already knew. Ships and colonies once hostile now sought partnerships. Civilizations once indifferent now watched humanity closely, learning, respecting, and sometimes fearing what they had created. A species that combined creativity, courage, and resilience unlike any other. In the quiet of space, Admiral Kale returned to the bridge of the Resolute. He looked out at the stars, knowing that humanity's journey was far from over. There would be challenges, conflicts, and mysteries beyond their imagination. But humanity had proven its power, its ingenuity, and its ability to rise from adversity. The galaxy had witnessed a new truth. Humans were not to be underestimated. And when humanity acted, it acted with purpose, clarity, and unity. In the months and years that followed, humans solidified alliances, protected colonies, and shared technology. They became mediators in conflicts, innovators in science, and guardians of life across the stars. Their victories in battle had proven their strength, but their compassion and intelligence proved that they were capable of more than survival. They could shape the future. And in this new order, the galaxy learned a lesson that would never be forgotten. Humanity endured, humanity adapted, and humanity rose. The stars were vast, and the challenges unending. But humans would face them together, and the galaxy would watch as a species once underestimated became a force of leadership, courage, and hope. The new order had begun. Humanity had risen, not as conquerors, but as protectors, innovators, and leaders. And the galaxy would never forget it. Despite the Council's pleas for diplomacy, humanity was finished negotiating.